According to the National Electrical Code, the ampacity of the feeder conductors supplying a panel board must be at least equal to the sum of the currents of the individual branch circuits supplied by the panel board. Consider a panel board with 30 or 40 spaces being fed by 100 amp feeders. In this scenario, the total ampacity of the branch circuits connected to that panel board cannot exceed 100 amps. The NEC also mandates that the main breaker or main lug in a panel board be rated for not less than the ampacity of the feeder conductors. If the feeder conductors are rated for 100 amps, the main breaker or main lug in the panel board must be rated for at least 100 amps. Given these requirements, it is generally not permissible to use a 200 amp main lug panel with 30 or 40 spaces and feed it with 100 amp feeders. The primary reason is that the total ampacity of the branch circuits in the panel board cannot exceed 100 amps, and the main breaker or main lug in the panel board must be rated for at least 100 amps, aligning with the feeder's ampacity. For example, if you have a 200 amp panel, the intention is typically to allow for a larger overall load capacity compared to what a 100 amp feeder can supply. Installing a 100 amp feeder effectively limits the panel's usable capacity to 100 amps, even though the panel itself is rated for 200 amps. Understanding feeder and panel board sizing involves several considerations. Firstly, calculate the total load that the panel board will serve. This calculation should include all branch circuits connected to the panel, considering both continuous and non-continuous loads. Secondly, determine the appropriate feeder size based on the calculated load. The feeder ampacity should be sufficient to handle the total load with appropriate overcurrent protection. Thirdly, select a panel board with a main breaker or main lug rating that matches or exceeds the feeder ampacity. This ensures that the panel board can safely handle the maximum current that the feeder can supply. NEC Article 220 provides detailed guidelines for calculating branch circuit, feeder, and service loads. These calculations take into account various factors such as the type of occupancy, the connected loads, and demand factors. Demand factors allow for reductions in the calculated load based on the likelihood that all loads will not be operating simultaneously. For example, in a dwelling unit, the demand factor for general lighting loads is typically 3 watts per square foot. However, the NEC permits the application of a demand factor of 35% to that portion of the lighting load exceeding 3000 volt amps. Similarly, for household cooking appliances rated over 1.75 kilowatts, a demand factor can be applied based on the number of appliances. NEC Table 220.55 provides specific demand factors for household cooking appliances. When sizing feeders for motor loads, the NEC requires that the feeder ampacity be at least 125% of the full load current of the largest motor in the group, plus the sum of the full load currents of all other motors in the group. This requirement ensures that the feeder can handle the starting current of the largest motor without experiencing excessive voltage drop. Overcurrent protection for feeders is typically provided by a circuit breaker or fuses. The overcurrent protection device must be sized to protect the feeder conductors from overload and short-circuit conditions. The NEC specifies maximum overcurrent protection ratings for different types of conductors based on their ampacity. NEC Section 240.4 provides detailed requirements for overcurrent protection of conductors. Grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. The NEC requires that all metal enclosures, such as panel boards, be grounded to provide a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source. This helps to prevent electric shock hazards and ensures that overcurrent protection devices operate properly. Bonding is the connection of metal parts to create an electrically conductive path. Bonding helps to minimize voltage differences between metal parts, reducing the risk of electric shock. NEC Article 250 provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding. When installing a subpanel, it is important to isolate the neutral conductor from the ground conductor at the subpanel. The neutral conductor should only be connected to the grounding electrode conductor at the service entrance. This prevents circulating currents in the grounding system, which can cause nuisance tripping of ground fault circuit interrupters or ground fault equipment protection. The equipment grounding conductor should be connected to the sub-panel enclosure and run back to the main panel. This provides a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source. The size of the equipment grounding conductor must be based on the size of the overcurrent protection device protecting the feeder conductors. NEC Table 250.122 provides guidance on sizing equipment grounding conductors. In summary, when sizing feeders and panel boards, it is essential to follow the requirements of the National Electrical Code. This includes calculating the total load, selecting appropriate feeder and panel board sizes, providing proper overcurrent protection, and ensuring adequate grounding and bonding. Ignoring these requirements can result in unsafe installations that pose a risk of fire or electric shock. It is recommended to consult with a qualified electrician or electrical engineer to ensure that electrical installations are safe and code compliant. Always prioritize safety and adhere to all applicable electrical codes and regulations. Remember that electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to take precautions to protect yourself from electric shock. Always to energize circuits before working on them, and use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as insulated gloves and eye protection. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work for you. Always double-check your connections and ensure that all screws and terminals are properly tightened. Loose connections can cause overheating and lead to electrical fires. Keep electrical panels clean and free from obstructions. Do not store flammable materials near electrical panels. If you notice any signs of electrical problems, such as flickering lights, sparking outlets, or burning smells, have them investigated by a qualified electrician immediately. Regular electrical inspections can help to identify potential problems before they become serious hazards. By following these safety guidelines, you can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe and reliable. Staying informed about electrical codes and best practices is crucial for maintaining a safe and efficient electrical system.